Niner Gang, what is up, guys? Hope everybody's having a great day. Just thought I'd mention something real quick. It's kind of weird, especially when you come home to find all this stuff. But I guess somebody got killed right outside my house, unfortunately. And so I seriously, literally have a whole squad of FBI out front of my house. So pretty crazy stuff, man. Very unfortunate. It honestly really pissed me off because we always have kids running around and playing around here. And so I was worried about them. I was hoping nobody got hurt, none of the kids especially. And sure enough, somebody lost their life. And some of our family members were worried that it was me because I guess whoever it was on a motorcycle, and I typically ride my motorcycle from here to work and back. So they were checking on me since it was right in front of my house and somebody with the motorcycle. Just crazy stuff, man. And we still got the FBI outside. It's 8 o'clock. What is this? Wednesday night, 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. in Arizona. So weird stuff, man. Hopefully we don't hear too much noise. I know a lot of the neighbors are pissed off. I'm pissed off. They're pissed off for the same reason as I am. We got kids around here. There's no reason that we feel the cops should be shooting around our neighborhood. So very crazy news today, man. Just weird stuff going on around my house. I remember one time too when I was living in California still. I was sitting in my room and I suddenly heard a big thud, like it sounded like a whole shelf fell and like some glass broke. So I think I went to go investigate like a little while later. I didn't want to be nosy, but I was just like, "What the heck is that, man?" Hopefully nothing crazy broke or anything. Then actually, what it turned out to be is there had been like a head-on collision or something right in front of our house on the street where basically two cars collided head on or something, and one of them flipped onto its side. I was like, what the hell is going on here, man? So crazy stuff. But hope you guys are having a good, safe day, man. I don't know too much on what happened with that person who got killed outside my house. So man, just prayers for them and their family. And yeah, we'll see. I don't want to talk too much about it other than then let's move on to some 49ers stuff, man. We honestly have so much stuff to talk about, even though we're just a few days out from the last game and going into week 2 against the Seattle Seahawks. But I think I'm gonna start off with some of this stuff in order. And instead of having my written notes today, I wrote them up on a banner so that it'll show across the bottom of the screen. So hopefully I got them in a decent order. I didn't have too much time. Like I said, came back from work earlier. I work full time, so it's tough to really get all this stuff in order. It's a lot harder than I think a lot of people realize. They think, oh, you just come on and talk about whatever. No, there's a lot of like, even though I wouldn't call myself a journalist, it's a lot of basically journalism. You have to write down in your journal a lot of times whenever I have free time at work and I'm listening to something, I got to jot it down real quick. And it's not even that I'm listening to something and I'm just copying down what I hear. It's when I listen to podcasts, it makes me think and I see it from another perspective. And so it brings up questions in my head or another perspective that I'm like, man, that's a really good idea to talk about. But of course, soaking in some knowledge and information and other perspectives as well. So, man, there's a lot that goes into it. If you guys only saw all my notes and everything that I have, you guys would probably think it's a lot of work. And then especially getting all the production and everything in order. Oof. But yeah, starting off with the first news today, man. If you guys can see it down here across the bottom of the screen on the banner, Mr. George Kittle did not practice again today. Um, very well, hopefully they're just being safe and hopefully he'll be ready game day. Maybe he'll get a day of practice or so. but tomorrow's the last day for practice. So we're gonna have to see about that. We'll see if he gets one day of practice. Kittle's the type of guy that he can just show up game day and he's ready to go. Better for him to show up healthy and fresh than to take take chances and risk hurting re-injuring himself in practice, right? So and this is a guy that can really turn the tables for us in this game against the Seahawks. Of course, if we would have had him in this last game against the Chicago Bears, it probably would have looked very different. In a way, probably because of Yak. Now, Ross Dwelly was a pretty good receiver this game, as well as Tyler Croft. They both did pretty all right. I had talked about before how Ross Dwelly really fills that void. I didn't really know what to expect game day from Tyler Croft because what you see in preseason and training camp isn't always what you see in the regular season when it's crunch time and you're playing against everybody's all stars. So he did all right, man. I know Trey Lance missed him on basically a walk-in touchdown. So unfortunate for that for him and Tyler Croft. But they showed up and they made somewhat of an impact on the game at least, right? You don't want to basically have non-factors. If George Kittle misses a game and you don't have anybody that's going to be any kind of threat at all on the field at that tight end position, then you worry. But it seems like we have three other backup tight ends that can do that job. We got Charlie Warner, Tyler Croft, and Ross Dwelly. So who knows if George Kittle's gonna have to take another week off. I would imagine he doesn't. I think he's actually gonna play this week. It's a strained groin. Um, Typically that stuff doesn't take you out for too long, but it can linger, right? So like if you sprain it now and then you don't rest it long enough and it's still kind of tender and you re-aggravate it, then it can be an ongoing thing for the rest of the season. And you definitely don't want that. And we'll see how the team feels about it because in a lot of people's eyes, this is a must-win game for the 49ers after what happened last week. Um, so I guess just a wait and see process. Oh man, just hoping for Kittle to come back ASAP, man. We already lost Mitchell. We don't have Jimmy Ward. Who else? I mean, we don't have Verrett. And then, well, I guess, yeah, this is some of the other news that we're getting to here. Some of the roster moves that were made yesterday and today. So Jordan Willis, I guess he had an MRI on his knee and he needed to get his knee cleaned up through surgery, and that was not good news to hear. Um, that was kind of like what Javon Kinlaw had last year, and it ended the season for him. We didn't get him back till this off season, so he was rehabbing from pretty early last season. That was Javon Kinlaw, and Jordan Willis was the guy, if you guys don't remember, that blocked the punt to help save the game for the 49ers in the playoffs against the Packers. So that sucks, man. That's a loss for now. It looks like it's going to be for the rest of the season. It's a knee cleanup. I haven't heard any news on how they project it to go as far as a timeline, but at this point, I'm just chalking that off as a loss for the season. As far as Jordan Willis goes, man, that sucks. But other than that, the 49ers brought in somebody we're all pretty familiar with, Tevin Coleman. Very good running back from the past. I didn't see him signed to the practice squad or anything, so they worked him out. For whatever reason, they didn't decide to bring him back just yet. He's a veteran with Kyle Shanahan, the Kyle Shanahan offense. He knows this team for the most part, and he did some good things for us, man. He's a really strong running back. He's almost like Jeff Wilson Jr. that is a little bit bigger, typically more of a power back, but that's not taking away too much from Jeff Wilson Jr. because he's a power back too, but I think he just has a lot more element to his game as far as pass catching, a little quicker, and he is a little bit smaller. But yeah, they brought in Tevin Coleman to work out and basically a tryout. Didn't work out yet We'll see if he gets signed to the practice squad, depending how everything goes at the running back position, because I'm sure you guys have heard the 49ers have signed running back Marlon Mack to the practice squad. And this guy's a veteran. A lot of people like this guy or have liked him in the past before he got injured. And he showed some really good things this past preseason. So he can be a very promising running back for us. Now, how fast can he get acclimated into this offense? That's going to be the thing to keep an eye on. They might mix him in here and there with a couple plays, like here, learn this little script right here. Here's a couple plays. Get these down. We'll throw you in the games, get you like 5 reps a game or something like that. Kind of warm him up little by little into that role. But I wouldn't put too much on the whole Marlon Mack situation just yet. He just got here. I like who we have at running back. I know Jeff Wilson Jr. didn't look too great in a lot of people's eyes this past week, but I think there was a lot of other variables that played into all those conditions. Of course, the rain. We were coming back from halftime, and I from what I remember, Jeff Wilson Jr. didn't get put in the game till right after halftime. I do think that the Chicago Bears made a lot of adjustments at halftime to stop the 49ers running game, because the 49ers in the first half were pretty unstoppable as an offense. And for whatever reason that didn't carry on into the second half, that could have been. It seems like a lot of people are just leaving out the adjustments that the Chicago Bears must have made during the halftime. So I think that played a role in Jeff Wilson Jr. not having as good of numbers as Elijah Mitchell did, as well as fatigue, all that type of stuff with the offensive line. Of course, the rain. I mean, we're hearing good things rolling out of training camp and preseason about Jeff Wilson Jr. picking things up. I think, this whole team is coming out kind of slow, as far as rusty, I should say, not slow, just rusty a little bit. They had very good offense and defense to start the game. Then they just kind of fizzled out. You guys all know that. And so they probably just weren't ready to help Jeff Wilson Jr. out the way he was, because it's not like we saw huge lanes like we did for Elijah Mitchell. From what I saw, those lanes were closing really fast, and he was basically running into the backs of offensive linemen. Now, in good conditions, can he make that cutback to basically avoid his own offensive linemen and move past those blocks? That's gonna have to be seen moving forward, but definitely excited to see these other rookie running backs that we have. It's too bad we ain't got Jermichael Hasty anymore, but man, oh well, that's a loss right there. But we did sign another cornerback to the practice squad. That is Vincent Jr. You guys can see his name down there. This guy was drafted in 2021. So a year ago, he was drafted by the Denver Broncos in round 7, I believe it was. And hasn't worked out for him over there. They probably had enough depth at the cornerback position as what they wanted, and they just had to release somebody, and he was that guy. So maybe he could be a really good depth piece. I haven't gotten a chance because this is such recent news, and I've been so busy that I haven't gotten a chance to check out any film or any highlights or anything like that on Vincent Jr. But seems like if he was drafted, he's not an undrafted free agent. He's got to have some, not to say undrafted free agents don't have talent, because we've seen on the 49ers that undrafted free agents have a lot of talent. You just got to be spotted by the right person, right? Hopefully that's the case with Vincent Jr. We've seen this team mold talented guys into great players. So hopefully that's the case with somebody like Vincent Jr. Now, with Jordan Willis getting moved over to IR, Kamoko Toure was one of the guys that was he was promoted from the practice squad up to the active roster. And so one of the other guys I want to talk about here. So I have some honorable mentions that I know, man. Don't criticize me too much. I messed up. I apologize to these guys, and hopefully they continue. They hopefully they keep it humble. Don't get too big headed from the compliments I'm going to give them. But one of the other guys that got promoted from the practice squad was Tayshaun Gibson, the veteran that was signed by the 49ers to the practice squad just a couple weeks ago. And they activated him from the practice squad. With that injury to Jimmy Ward, with him being out, they activated Tayshaun Gibson, and he got reps right there with Talanoa Hufanga opposite of him, safety. So it looked like he did a lot of good things in this game. We know that D'Amico Ryans, the defensive coordinator, can put a lot of these players in positions to be successful and kind of cover for them and some of their weaknesses. So how much of that played into Tayshaun Gibson's success? I don't know just yet. We'll have to see how things go moving forward. But I liked what I saw from him, man. He was there. He was making some plays. The whole defense, for the most part, at least in the first half, was looking really, really good. Um, but honestly, if we're talking about the defense, one of the things that I felt about the game was that it was kind of like a bend but don't break type of day. And I was like, man, yeah, the defense is doing really great, but this offense, we really need to get some points up there and help this defense out because um, Justin Fields, he's such an gifted athlete and he's talented. So I just felt like at some point he was going to get his, he was going to make some plays, some off script stuff or whatever, especially at the end of the first half. You could already see that the Chicago Bears, going back to the adjustments that they were making at halftime, you could see maybe in the last 4 minutes or so, 5 minutes of the second quarter before halftime even started, it seemed like the Bears had already made these adjustments. And Eberflus, the coach of the Chicago Bears, it seemed like he was just like, all right, you know what, Justin Fields, I can see I need to let you off the reins and have at it, man. We're not having any success, so we got to try you out, bro. Go ahead. And sure enough, it seemed like Justin Fields was just getting rolling. Unfortunately, he was doing his off-script stuff, and little by little, it started to pick up, and they were having more and more success. And they rolled in to that momentum, or they rolled that momentum into halftime, and they came out of halftime with that momentum basically and carried it through the rest of the game. So, very often do we not see Kyle Shanahan make those type of adjustments, man. So, hope, man, take a page out of first time rookie head coach Matt Eberflus. Come on, Kyle Shanahan, you got to make adjustments like that. It was way too late the way things went on. And but another guy I want to give some kudos to, man, and my other honorable mention that I forgot to mention in my other videos after the game, Juwan Jennings. Juwan Jennings did some really good things for us this game against the Bears. If you guys didn't see, a lot of people were talking about him in the preseason and the offseason, saying, oh man, this guy's not doing anything. He's dropping left and right. He's dropping the passes left and right. And so a lot of people were worried. I was a little tad bit worried coming into the regular season, but I was like, you know what, man? I honestly, from what we've seen last year, and this goes for Trey Lance as well, and some of the other guys, but it's like, okay, Juwan Jennings showed us what he does game time. And I don't think he's just going to lose that overnight over one offseason. He's just going to lose all his talent, all everything. Maybe he didn't work as hard this offseason. Maybe he lost a step. But he does still have talent. He's still that big bodied receiver. And I just felt like when it comes game time, he is, regardless of what everybody said about him in the offseason and all the hiccups he had. Again, I mean, we've mentioned a lot how highly projected this defense is for the 49ers. and he had to go against that every day, and so he was really tested. So maybe that's making him better, and so he's going to tear up all these other defenses across the league. So hopefully that's the case, man. It's looking like it so far. He's that clutch receiver that I saw last year going into the playoffs and all that. So very promising to see him showing up in these regular season game, well, one regular season game uh, that we just had. Hopefully, he continues that against the Seahawks. I think he can have a really great game against the Seahawks. Um, I don't know if I want to tap into that just yet. I think I might save that for last. Oof, getting a little ahead of myself. Whew. But yeah, Juwan Jennings, definitely great to see what he's bringing to the table, man. I think he's going to be a really good receiver for Trey Lance. Big body guy, wide catch radius. Yeah, he looked really good. I think he had one drop. That was about it. Tayshaun Gibson, we already tapped into that. I think what, yeah, okay. I'm sure you guys have heard other people talk about this, but there was a long break between preseason and this one regular season game, right? Number one. And that was a problem that a lot of us were talking about too. A lot of people wanted Trey Lance to play that last preseason game against the Texans. They wanted him to play a lot more than he did because of this reason, that there was such a long break between then and now, or at least then and the first game of the regular season. So did that play a big role in everything? I'm sure it did, man. It's like yeah, it's like getting your instead of getting your feet wet, it's almost like jumping in the cold pool. But yeah, I think it had a big impact on the game. A lot of people are saying that that the Chicago Bears game was basically preseason game number 4, and that's pretty much what I'm getting to. That's basically what it was. Is the starters did not get enough practice against other teams, it seemed like. Um, so man, they just look super rusty, unfortunately. And I am confident that they're going to clean a lot of these things up, because these are simple things that they can fix. And they were playing very good in the conditions that they were in for the most part. It was just like I said before in my other videos, just the mistakes, everything that was bad and piling on was just at the worst possible moments, it seemed like. So can't let that happen, right? Shanahan outcoached by Eberflus, and Bears made adjustments at halftime. I think I talked about that a little bit more, but one thing I want to tap into a little bit more is the Shanahan outcoached by Eberflus. And I don't even know if I spelled Eberflus's name correctly. Like I said, I finished my notes just before I started this video because of just my time constraint, because I worked full time. So, yeah, man, Eberflus, he's coming into his very first season as the head coach of the Chicago Bears. So he's the rookie head coach, getting to know all his players, them getting to know his playbook, all that type of stuff, right? Yet his guys seemed like they were more ready to play and less mistake prone. Now, granted, it was a home game for them, so that had to have played a role in helping them. You know, you got the crowd noise, the the hurricane that was going on there basically. So I'm sure that played into a lot of it. But at the end of the day, with the roster that Kyle Shanahan has and all these veterans that he has, it's like these guys, we all know each other, or they all know each other. Same thing. I know them too. But they all have that chemistry. They all know how to play the game, right? Now, one thing I was having this topic later, but I'll just tap into it now. One person that's getting a lot of criticism is Mr. Dre Greenlaw, the linebacker. Now, he committed 2 really horrible penalties. You know, one of them was pretty questionable, the face mask. That's kind of rough. But I mean, you can't put yourself in a position to even have the chance to be penalized, right? That's the thing. Now, it's a lot harder when you're like a cornerback, I think. I feel like linebackers have an easier time avoiding penalties. Now, so he did commit those 2 penalties, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, man, he's a veteran. He's committing these penalties. Like, is he just being, unconscious and not not using his head, not being smart?" Like, all this stuff, right? Okay, one of the things I was thinking about when I was hearing some of this stuff is, yeah, he's a veteran. He's been here for a few years now, and he's a very good linebacker. But at the same time, a lot of people, how they're talking about he's a veteran. The way I see it is he's been injured so often and so much, missing so much time that it's almost like he's basically really rusty as well. I think is he's getting used to playing the game again because he's been missing so much time. We saw a lot of just Fred Warner and Aziz Al Shair last year, right? So I think that's kind of playing into it. Him just getting his feet back under him, stuff like that is going to happen sometimes. And just correct those most mistakes over time, and let's keep the ball rolling. But yeah, it's very crazy to see that Shanahan was outcoached by a rookie uh, head coach. It's ridiculous, man. And that kind of ties into like how Shanahan. A lot of people talk about how he gets very flustered in big moments. It seems like the players don't get flustered. It seems like it's the head coach Cal Shanahan. He's the guy that's dropping the ball, being way too conservative with leads, all that type of stuff. Just as a head coach, all the things that he should be taking care of, he just wants to be that play caller. It doesn't seem like he's actually um, being the head coach, the teacher, the leader, all that type of stuff. He wants to be a friend to these guys. It's he's got to kind of check himself and take a look in the mirror, I think. So another thing is Shanahan overthinks and complicates fourth downs. Oh my god. If you guys didn't hear me talk about this, one of the things I was pissed off about, and it's not just this past game against the Bears. This is going into last season, and I'm sure even seasons before that. But I know last season for sure. I remember being pissed off about some of this stuff. Shanahan, when it's like obvious go down on fourth down situation, he doesn't do it. Even though when he does the simple quarterback sneak, he's very successful at it. Now we have seen last year, like I think it was in the playoffs, yeah, against the Cowboys, for example, when he overcomplicates those fourth down plays, then it backfires. I think he also did that one play when Trey Lance was in there. I forget which game. He brought Trey Lance in for a fourth down last year, and he just tried to be too cute, man. You're very successful with the king of quarterback sneaks, Jimmy Garoppolo, right? Now, Trey Lance also showed a lot of success in the quarterback sneak game, the quarterback power game, all that stuff in the Chicago Bears game alone. We saw this guy quarterback sneaking on 3rd and 3 and gaining 4. Um, and it seemed like he did that 2 or 3 times in this game alone. But when it's 4th and 1 at midfield, when the Chicago Bears have momentum and you don't go for it on 4th and 1, when you can easily quarterback sneak with Trey Lance, who cares if it's obvious, man? You guys, the offense on a quarterback sneak has the advantage. You can hard count and call a timeout if you're not feeling it. And just test them out, hard count it, get an automatic first down by default, get the guys off, get the defense off sides. Really bums me out, man. When stuff like that, as a head coach, we're talking about with Kyle Shanahan, this is stuff that can help him out a lot. We saw like in the Super Bowl before halftime when the 49ers get the ball back, the game is tied 10-10. And I forget what the play was, what exactly the circumstances were, sorry. Um, but it was basically Kyle Shanahan was taking a knee, and you see John Lynch And a lot of fans, I'm sure, because I know I was one of them, are jumping up and down like, yeah, come on, go for it. Try and get a field goal, try and get something, right? We need to try and get ahead. These are the Chiefs, man. No matter how far behind they were that year, you had seen them make a lot of comebacks that year. So they were a very dangerous offense that year in 2019 when that happened. And we got to see it, man. We didn't take advantage of the opportunity we had before halftime to go up by 3 at least. You see John Lynch, and not even the head coach, he's the general manager. He's jumping up and down, telling Kyle Shanahan to do something, not to take a knee and just go to the locker room. It's stuff like that. As a head coach, you got to be more aggressive, man. And just we saw it in this game a lot. The first half, um, a lot a lot better passing schemes and stuff like that from Kyle Shanahan, but still too much running. I understand it's raining, but we need to keep this defense honest. And he waited until the last second when all hope was basically lost, to try and pass the ball. When it's too obvious, the Bears know you're going to try and pass the ball. Um, the the conditions, the pouring down rain makes it almost impossible to catch and throw the ball. So just when and where you need to pick your battles, Kyle Shanahan. You need to play some more Madden or something, bro. Help you grow little bit bigger pair of balls or something. uh, Not to be too disrespectful, but I'm serious, man. Play some Madden or something. Get a little more ballsy with that stuff, dude. 4th and 1. Come on. Trey Lance is getting four yards on those quarterback sneaks, and you can't get 1 yard. It's ridiculous. I think it was actually less than 1 yard. It's ridiculous stuff. Stuff that pisses fans off, man. Stuff that loses us games. I know he's watching right now, so I don't want to go too crazy on Shanahan. I know he emailed me not too long ago talking about he got his feelings hurt a little bit. Still got love for you, Shanahan. I still want you as my coach, but just some of these things we got to see get corrected. Like this next topic we're going into right now. Debo being favored over Ayuk despite the work and versatility. Debo got paid already. So here's the topic, right? Debo, all the carries he was getting, right? Now, Ayuk, in my eyes, I would love to hear what you guys think about it, but I think it's pretty undeniable that Ayuk is definitely more versatile. Now, a lot of people are going to be like, no, you're tripping. Debo's the number one weapon in the league. You can put him in the backfield and this and that, whatever. You can put Ayuk in the backfield as well. We've seen it more than once. First offensive play of the game by the 49ers, handoff to Ayuk around the edge. He runs for 7 yards. Very successful play on first down, makes it a 2nd and 3. You go back to that Eagles game, that 2020 season when Debo was hurt, almost everybody was hurt, and then 49ers had to lean on Ayuk as a wide receiver. He showed up, man. He was the number one wide receiver. So you're going to tell me that he can't take a load off of Debo Samuel's shoulders. He can't help the team. He can't take a load off of Trey Lance's shoulders. You need to let Ayuk run out of the backfield more often. You need to pass to him more often. He has better hands than Debo. Now, what I don't like also is that Debo is being favored over Ayuk. He's getting a lot more plays, a lot more not passes, but a lot more plays getting called in favor of him. And like just the versatility you can call in plays is you can have Debo lined up in the backfield, play action to him with how often Debo is used out of the backfield whenever Kyle Shanahan has them in those why the hell can I remember the word right now? Those formations. When Kyle Shanahan has them in those formations when Debo Samuel is in the backfield, it's been so obvious already that they're handing the ball off to Debo Samuel basically 90% of the time. Use that to play action. Fake the handoff to Debo Samuel. Have him running around the edge. Have Trey Lance run the opposite way and pass it to Ayuk, or keep the ball and run it, have a check down, all that stuff, man. That play alone could be so dangerous, and you can mix that up in so many ways. It's ridiculous, especially when we have good conditions and Danny Gray's out there as well. You got George Kittle, Ross Dwelly, that huge catch radius of Ross Dwelly. Oh man, dude. Come on, Shanahan. Give me the reins, bro. And then it's messed up too because okay, so there's this huge thing made about Debo Samuel. He's over here being a diva and everything during the offseason trying to get paid. Ayuk was over in the background with Trey Lance working on that chemistry, putting in that work. And Debo Samuel was nowhere to be found. He's like, these guys want to work out, they can come to me. Man, this dude, his attitude, man, I can't stand his attitude. I still want to see him do good. I'm still rooting for him, whatever. I hope he corrects everything. I know he's kind of showed some more maturity coming into the season, but as of right now, man, he was one of the jerseys I wanted to get at the end of the season coming into this season. Not anymore. Not even close. I do not want Debo Samuel's jersey as of right now. Um, I'm sorry if you guys could hear that. My family just got home. Yeah, they're pretty loud. Those are my kids. But yeah, man, Ayuk was putting in that work, his versatility. So why Debo is being favored so heavily over Brandon Ayuk when you see all the success that when Brandon Ayuk is targeted, you see the 49ers and Trey Lance having success, man. It's ridiculous to me. I would like to see those changes. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on that. As well as the whole Debo situation. He lost, at least when it comes to the word fan. I'm still rooting for him, but as a fan, I'm not a Debo Samuel fan anymore as of right now. Very unfortunate, all his attitude and everything that I've seen so far. Now, it's not a lost cause. He can still win me back. He can still win our hearts back. I know a lot of 49ers fans feel the same way. A lot of people think it's just about playing the sport at a high level. No, man. We root for these people as human beings, right? You know, you got guys that represent themselves in an honorable fashion, and you're a fan of that. You know, we're a fan of character as well as a fan of your play on the field. Now, a great example of that is now I'm not saying that Terrell Owens was a diva, but he kind of had the same situation where he lost a lot of fan bases because just the narrative around him. Now, um, from what I remember, I don't exactly remember players actually coming out and specifically, except for maybe Donovan McNabb, talking about how much of a distraction that Terrell Owens was in the locker room. But you saw his antics, sometimes his personality come out, and he did seem a little diva-ish, but I never full-fledged saw it. So I mean, I still got a lot of love for To, but it seems like he lost a lot of fans. Like a lot of people, he rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. And Debo's he with this offseason, he has started to do the same thing in a way, if not worse, honestly. Next topic: penalties are the last reason we thought we'd lose. Let that sink in. Penalties are the last reason we thought we'd lose. Coming into the season, right? Everybody's like, okay, all questions were around the offensive line, the nickelback position, Talanoa Hafunga, and most of all, would be Trey Lance. Um, Top two were probably Trey Lance and the offensive line being the biggest question marks coming into the season. I don't think any of us thought that at the end of the day, if we lost to the Chicago Bears, that it would be due to penalties, right? That's how I felt about it. I'm sorry, guys, if you guys could hear all that noise. One second. Let me see. Ooh, sorry about that, guys. I didn't even know like the whole family was coming over, the whole gang. But yeah, I think just that, man. And that's definitely something we can clean up. So hopefully, as the season progresses, that's going to be something that's very clean up because I know that's also going into other seasons. This isn't like a new thing. The 49ers, from last I heard, were third, and this is not something that you want to have a high rating at. You don't want to have a top 10 spot at all in this. They were number 3 in most penalties. Um, in I think it was number 3. Um, most penalties and yardage from penalties given up, and I think it was by far they were the next team was they were ahead of the next team down, like number 4 spot or whatever it was. They were ahead of them by 100 yards in penalties. So pretty ridiculous stuff. I don't know what the heck they can do to correct that. What they something that they don't seem to have been working on, and seems like they need to get something in gear because if they haven't seen it before, I hope this game really showed them that penalties are crucial and they can really dictate the outcome of a game. Um, man, we had 4 times as many penalties as the Chicago Bears. If you guys don't know, we had 12 penalties for 100 yards ish versus the Chicago Bears only had 3 penalties for like 30 yards or something like that, 25 yards. So, um, if the 49ers can correct that, man, it can really dictate the outcome of a game in their favor or vice versa. But it did rain so badly. This is something I heard. If you guys didn't hear about this, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, it rained so bad that the snow filter was turned on. Now, the snow filter being that if you guys ever watch a football game in the NFL when it's snowing really hard and the field is covered by snow, the on the on screen like the projection of the first yard um, line, all that type of stuff, all the yardage stuff. They have those basically those light up lines going across the screen that show where the first down yardage line is, right? They basically had to do that because the field was so flooded with rain. So people that are taking this lightheartedly when it comes to the rain and saying, "Oh, it shouldn't have been a factor," and the Chicago Bears played in the rain too. Well, it was a factor, and when you add stuff like that, you can it swings the game either way. Things happen, makes things a lot more tricky, and especially when it's like that, when the field is actually flooded, it's not just raining and kind of soaking through the ground. Let's see. Trey scored more than Jimmy G did in Washington. So if you guys, a lot of people that are bashing on Trey Lance, talking about putting Jimmy G in, this was a rainy game, right? Now, if you ask me, the short answer is Jimmy G would not have won this game either, man. What's he going to do? Trey Lance did a lot of things with his feet to save this team, to give us a chance with his feet that he didn't do in the passing game or wasn't able to do in the passing game because of conditions or whatever it was. Garoppolo would have he definitely would not be able to offer any of that, like rushing for a 3rd and 13 to get a first down, rushing for 13 yards on a 3rd down to get a first down. Think about that. You think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to do that unless it's a Hail Mary and he runs for it, lets everybody run downfield and then takes off? I don't think so, buddy. Now, the 49ers with Jimmy Garoppolo in rainy games that I remember are, yeah, Jimmy Garoppolo in rainy games, the Colts, Ravens, and Washington football team. Well, now the Washington Commanders, I guess. It's oh man, you get so many names with them now. But yeah, the Colts last year, the Ravens in 2019, and Washington Commanders in 2019 were all rainy games, and the 49ers are 1-2. They have a record of 1-2 against those teams in the rain. That's with Jimmy Garoppolo. And the 49ers only won the game against Washington basically because the defense held Washington to 0 points. The 49ers with Jimmy Garoppolo only scored 9 points. We lost to Carson Wentz and the Indianapolis Colts. We lost to the Ravens and Lamar Jackson. Even though, who was it? I think it was Marcel. It was Marcel Harris or Tarvarius Moore. Stripped the ball right out of Lamar Jackson's hands and got it. He picked it up right out of Lamar Jackson's hands. So Mike Martz, if you guys didn't hear him talking about Trey Lance and bashing him, man, this guy sounds like sounds like a straight fool. Now here I put Mike Martz sounding like Napoleon Dynamite. Now the reason I say that is because this guy was talking straight nonsense, and if you listen to him, he's like, yeah, he didn't really have any skills, and that just as soon as he said that, I was like, bow hunting skills, what is it, nunchuck skills, all that stuff that Napoleon Dynamite says. So I thought it was pretty funny, man. I kind of just disregard him, but at the same time, we got to keep all these receipts, man. All the people that are bashing Trey Lance like this, it's ridiculous. Now, I guess he said some stuff about Justin Fields as well, but I didn't get to listen to that. So he was talking about Trey Lance and just talking down on him, but the stuff he was saying was just straight stupid. So I'm definitely going to keep the receipt, and I hope people that talk about stuff like this, they really lose their like how can you say, their prestige? What's the word I'm looking for? Um they're not a reliable source. When you hear them say stuff like this, then you know they don't know what the hell they're talking about. Like for example, anytime I see that guy Emmanuel Ocho now, I used to actually watch his takes before, watch him on all the NFL stuff. If you guys don't know who Emmanuel Ocho is, he's a former player that analyzes the NFL and talks about it. But he was calling Trey. He was talking about Trey Lance, and he's saying this is why they call him one play Trey. First of all, nobody, who the hell calls him one play Trey? I would like to know. I've never heard that in my life until Emmanuel Ocho said it. Then he's bashing Trey Lance for all this stuff. He's like, he just gives you one play per game, and that's it. One explosive play, and you're supposed to lean on this guy. Man, these guys. So they lose all type of I don't know why I can't think of the word right now. It's like all, I don't know. They're not a reliable source, and we're definitely going to keep those receipts so we can tell these guys, you look stupid, bro. Trey Lance proved these guys wrong. Next, Lance played better than Fields, but national media says otherwise, and that ties into what I just said. Right? There's a lot of people bashing Trey Lance for this game, but he played very good. If you ask me my opinion, I'd probably give him a B plus. He missed a couple things, but he also saved the team in a lot of ways. One of the things coming into the season was that a lot of people were like, if the 49ers start winning, it's not going to be because of Trey Lance. He just needs to not make the mistakes. He needs to basically stay out of the 49ers' way and just be a game manager. But actually, game one of the regular season seemed like the rest of the team, for the most part, well, not a few guys, veterans, were making mistakes, costing the team a lot of points and just yardage, all that type of stuff. But Trey Lance had to dig. He was the one that ended up having to try and dig them out of that hole. Now, by the time Kyle Shanahan was kind of letting the reins off a little more with the playbook, it was already too late. It was pouring down crazy rain. He played better than Fields. He had better numbers. He had better QBR, all that stuff. And I have this topic later, but I guess I'll just tap into it now. Lance actually, if you guys check it out, I guess he had a better QBR in this first game than 17 other quarterbacks, starting quarterbacks in this league, the NFL. So he's number 18, right? Kind of middle of the pack right there with the NFL as far as starting quarterbacks go. He was number 18 on QBR, but he was ahead of every single 2021 draft pick quarterback uh, that was taken in the first round last year. So Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, all those. Well, actually, no, Zach Wilson didn't play, I think, but all those guys that were drafted around where Trey Lance was drafted as well in the first round, he had a better QBR than all those guys as well. So all that media, man, I would save the crap talk, man. They're weird, but the Trey slide as a weapon. So we've seen this with the Bears. Mr. Justin Fields was sliding, and I did talk about it how Trey Lance seemed to he didn't really seem to be in the position to be able to slide. Every time he had to take a fall, it almost seemed like he had to fall forward. Unfortunately, with his head being in front of everything and being vulnerable to hits, it didn't seem like he was in a position in more open field like Justin Fields was given more opportunity with to be able to slide. And when you did see Justin Fields slide, it was basically a weapon because when he was sliding, he was getting late hits and drawing penalties on the 49ers defense for 15 yards with the first down. Now, if we did get to see Lance slide at least once in the preseason, but if he can continue to do that in games, in regular season games, he can get some yardage just off that alone. So I would like to see him slide a little bit more and be in the position to slide a little bit more. Now, that kind of plays into Kyle Shanahan and the play calling as well, because like I said, it didn't seem like Trey Lance was put in the position to slide. He almost had to fall forward every time. Reason being why I'm saying this is almost every time that Trey Lance was running was because he was on a quarterback power, quarterback sneak, that type of stuff. And when you're in a quarterback power, typically you get caught up behind some of your own linemen pushing forward, right? So you're running behind that block. You're not going to slide into your offensive lineman's ankles. You kind of just got to keep going forward, keep chugging along, and fall forward with the rest of the guys, right? So, Kyle Shanahan, that's going to play into him putting Trey Lance into more open field bootlegs and all that type of stuff to where he has space where he can actually slide and not risk injuring himself or anybody else, and just being in that position overall. Um, yeah, I already talked about this. Lance being forced to save the team. Here's one of the things. So 13 pressures, but only one blitz. So the offensive line was a big question coming into this game. And from the scores, the stats that everybody had up was they got 13 pressures on Trey Lance, but they only blitzed one time. So that's pretty ridiculous. But um, it seemed like, ironically, the guys that were kind of counted on coming into this season, and we can that's kind of questionable with Mike McGlinchey, but him and Trent Williams were supposed to be, in a way, those solid guys. Now, I didn't feel that way with McGlinchey because of his injury, and I think it's kind of soon for him. Uh, they're kind of rushing him a little bit, but still, he's that veteran. So those two guys actually had the worst PFF score out of all the offensive linemen on the 49ers. The rest of the guys, Aaron Banks, Burford, Brendel, all those guys scored higher. Burford, they actually did pretty good, man. So most of those pressures were actually coming off the edge with Trent Williams and Mike McGlinchey. And like I said, that was only off one blitz. The rest of them were just typical rush, four-man rush. So definitely not good. Got to get that cleaned up. Crazy stuff, man. Bears had same game plan. Yeah. So if you guys watch the game, it was basically the Bears were basically doing the same thing as the 49ers, but not having the same success. Um, you know what? I'm going to pause this real quick. Sorry, guys. Man, I'm sorry about that, guys. Unannounced visit from the family, so it's a little loud. All the kids running around and everything, little cousins visiting and stuff. But yeah, so the Bears basically seem to have the same game plan. They're basically doing all the same stuff as the 49ers. The 49ers were, to start out, they were having the same success as I mean, better success than the Bears. Then the Bears made those few adjustments, right, and started having more success than the 49ers. But it was basically just coming down to the Bears just not making the mistakes, cleaning up mistakes that and letting the 49ers kind of dig their own grave. But when you look at the both offenses as a whole, it was basically the same thing. The Bears were having a lot of success in their running game, though, running the ball like the 49ers wanted to. And once Elijah Mitchell left the game, the 49ers didn't seem to have that same success in the running game. And Trey Lance ended up being the leading rusher, and that's not something you want to hear and see. So um, we got to be careful with that. But hopefully we can clean all that stuff up. Hopefully Jordan Mason, uh, TDP, Ty Davis Price, and Jeff Wilson Jr. come into this game ready to ball out, man. Debo Samuel's going to be back there too. Like I said earlier, I would love to see more Brandon Ayuk in the backfield. Dude, oh my God. And Juice, where the hell is Juszczyk, man? That guy is such a weapon, and he is not utilized like at all. It seems like it's ridiculous. But let me see. Yeah, hopefully they rotate these running backs. They need to stop relying on one guy so much. That's one thing I want to see. And kind of tying into one thing I was talking about earlier with the trickery, Debo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk. Now, Debo, going back to last year, has basically been that super obvious red zone guy. Now, still, um, it was basically like the 49ers used him at will within like 25 yards of the red zone or end zone. Within 25 yards of the end zone, and they would run Debo Samuel out of the backfield and have a lot of success getting a lot of touchdowns, right? Now, it's gotten a little too obvious that every time Debo Samuel's the in the backfield, I don't know why I keep losing my words. Every time Debo Samuel's in the backfield, it's basically he's running the ball. So we need to see some more trickery out of that. It's too obvious. And like I said, that's tying into what I was talking about with Brandon Ayuk being utilized as well. All these guys, all these weapons, man, just play action off of that more often. Uh, just different stuff. You can do like 3 or 4 runs in the red zone with Debo Samuel being in the backfield, but give him 2 of those. Fake it to him, give it to somebody else, let Trey Lance run it, and hopefully he slides at the end of the run if he doesn't make a touchdown. So just more stuff like that. And I think you believe. I know what I'm talking about, guys. I play a lot of Madden, but Lance brain power and 3 for 5 on deeper passes. So we'll go with the 3 for 5 real quick first. So Lance's big playability is playing a big part in why he's the starting quarterback now. Um, I know that a lot of people would be like, "Oh, he's not as efficient as Jimmy Garoppolo and whatever." Yeah, but he spreads the field out. I'm not saying yes, that's true. I'm just saying yeah, okay, whatever. But he spreads this offense out so much more and being able to utilize all the weapons and not just a couple of them or just one of them, like Debo Samuel, like Jimmy Garoppolo, just tossing it to Debo Samuel real quick, and he takes off and scores touchdowns all day every day. So Lance ended up going, I think it was 3 for 4 or 3 for 5 on deeper passes from like medium to deep. Now I do got to double check on what they were considering to be the deeper passes, but for the most part, it didn't seem like he really threw anything over like 25, 30 yards, right? Um, but just that element alone, it really what I heard was 3 for 4. Then I heard 3 for 5. But regardless, when you take Jimmy Garoppolo into consideration, and I hate to mention him so much, and I hate to downplay him so much. I don't want to, but it's just for the sake of the conversation. If you take Jimmy Garoppolo and put him in these same circumstances, he probably gets one of those. Now, would you rather have like a 75% completion percentage on deeper passes or a 10% chance? 75 with Lance or 10% chance with Jimmy Garoppolo? And it seems like a lot of people are criticizing Trey Lance for his completion percentage and like basically forgetting about all the good passes and just focusing on one bad pass, right? This he probably had no, I'm not even going to that. But his brain power, leaning into the brain power, we saw this guy. This is coming back from all the way in his college days, where this was a big part of why he was drafted so high. A lot of people were saying how smart he is, and it's really kind of starting to show. With especially last year, he learned the playbook so fast. He was thrown in there and ready to go, even though he had that supposed injured finger. I don't know how bad it was. He had that broken finger, and so they didn't let us know about that till after the season. Now, how much that released out to the public to kind of take some fire and flame off of Lance because he was going through a lot of ridicule during the offseason. I don't know how much of that was just kind of gaslighting everybody. But after the game, the press conference, you hear Lance kind of articulating every single play that he didn't really make and he had trouble with and he made a mistake, right? That takes a very good memory. That means he was paying attention to every little detail that was going on during the game. He was taking a lot of accountability, but just to analyze and know what he did wrong during the game before he even watches the film, memorize that. This is a long game. There's a lot of stuff that I'm watching it. I don't remember a lot of it, and it's like 3 hours, right? Yeah, like 3 hours, 3.5 hours, typically an NFL game. So that's very promising, man, dude. This guy has a very good memory, unlike me, and he's putting his brain to the test, putting it to good use. Moving on to the next thing. Oh, I already talked about the QBR. One thing I wanted to talk about was this came out, I think today, that the 49ers in the last 10 games of the NFL, I think that's including the off season. I mean the playoffs. I forget if it's hey, we got Brian in here. What's up, NinerGang WolfCast? Hey, bro. Hope you're having a good day. Good to have you in here. Almost catching me at the end of everything, but yeah, I hope you're having a good day. I said what's up to you in Grant's chat. I don't know if you saw it. I know I saw you had said what's up to me in the chat, but I didn't see it till later. And then I replied. I said, "Hey, what's up, bro?" And yeah, I don't know if you saw it. But yeah, the 49ers in the last 10 NFL games, and like I said, I don't know if they're counting the playoffs in this or if it's just regular season games. The 49ers have the number one defense in the NFL when it comes to the last 10 NFL games. So very promising, man. With all the Band-Aids we had last year in defense and coming into this season only counting as one game towards that 10-game stretch where the 49ers are number one. Very promising stuff to be able to see and kind of speculate on what the 49ers are going to be as long as everybody stays healthy, right? The number one defense going forward. I really hope so, man. And I really think if we have good conditions that additions that the 49ers can also have the number one offense. Now imagine if we had I know Brian's a special teams guy, so imagine if we had number one in all three phases. Oh yeah, Brian says he's seen me on both shows. Definitely cool. Yeah, a lot of good information today too on the other shows, man. definitely, I'm very grateful for all the other 49ers podcasters, content creators, and all that stuff because before YouTube, I feel like it was a lot harder to be a fan and be like informed like it is now. It's at our fingertips. It's pretty awesome getting notifications and all this stuff. When did that ever happen in the past? But moving on to the Seahawks again. So I know Brian heard me talk about this. This is for everybody who didn't tune in yesterday. The Seahawks going into week 2, we're gonna apparently this is gonna be another rainy forecast for this coming Sunday in Santa Clara, home game for the 49ers. Really ridiculous stuff, man. Like I was hearing some of the other guys saying, he was saying, yeah, that don't mean jack. With the weather we have here in the Bay Area, when you have the forecast, it's probably going to be like it says super rainy in the forecast, but it's going to just be cloudy, and that's I can relate to that. And when I work in construction and I look at the forecast and it looks like it's going to rain, and we check the forecast and it says it's going to rain at 1 o'clock. Um, and it's going to pour down rain, it says, and then it gets to 1 o'clock and it pushes us back to 2 o'clock, then it keeps pushing it back, and then we get no rain all day. So hopefully that's the case. Hopefully it's just a cloudy day in Santa Clara. I know it gets pretty hot over there. I'm from the area and get some crazy weather over there. But yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. Hopefully it doesn't play too much of a factor. I was ready to see, especially with all the ridicule around Trey Lance, I was ready to see a clear game, clear day, good conditions, especially with California typically has pretty good conditions, as long as it's not too hot. And the Seahawks, if you guys didn't watch that Monday night game, the Seahawks lost Jamal Adams. I haven't gotten to see what the injury was and what the report was on that, but as far as I know right now, Jamal Adams isn't going to be playing against the 49ers, and he's a big time player for the Seahawks. He's probably the number one guy on their defense. So that's +1 for the 49ers. That's an advantage. It's unfortunate for him, but at the end of the day, in all reality, it's an advantage for the 49ers. But yeah, Brian, if anybody has anything else to add to the conversation, go ahead. If not, I hope you guys have a great night. Like I said, oh Brian, I was talking about at the beginning of this video, I was talking about the FBI is still outside my house. Somebody got killed in front of my house earlier today. So the FBI has been out there all day. So pretty crazy stuff, man. I'm just glad because and I was really pissed off about it. And there's always kids playing and running around outside. So I'm really glad none of the kids got hurt, but it still really pisses me off that the cops are trying to have shootouts outside our house in our neighborhoods. It's ridiculous. Yeah, but Brian says we got to win this weekend. Yeah, man, I feel the same way. Like I said before, the Chicago Bears game, that was a fluke, honestly. The 49ers looked better in that game. Other than the few mistakes, just crucial moments. I think we're going to sweep the floor with the Seahawks. Now, granted, they're no slouch. If you guys didn't watch the game on Monday night with the Seahawks against the Broncos, the Seahawks looked pretty good. Now, the Broncos are known to have a pretty good defense, but maybe ours is just so much better that we're just going to whoop the crap out of Geno Smith and the Seahawks. Hopefully that's the case. We don't have as limited of a quarterback this year, so that's definitely a +1. I mean, the conditions definitely are going to have to be a lot better than the Chicago game. I don't think it's going to be anywhere near as bad. Even if it does rain, I don't think it's going to play as big of a part in the game. So hopefully that's the case. But we definitely have to win this game, man. We have to save. The team has to put Trey Lance on their shoulders and help him out, man, because he was too much was put on him this game. It's ridiculous with all the veterans making the mistakes. For the rookie to be the most poised guy in the game, and like Brian said the day before yesterday, I think it was, Brian said that Lance almost looked too calm. Yeah, you definitely want to see poise out of him, and you want to make him calm, man. You want to put him on your shoulders. So hopefully that's the case this week. I can't wait to see it. I want to see the game tomorrow with the Chargers and the Chiefs. Yeah, two opponents we'll be seeing this season. So, Brian, I hope you have a great night. Everybody else, I hope you have a great night. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Much love to all you guys. Please like and subscribe. Please participate. Please comment. Even if you don't catch a comment here in the live stream, I'll check my comments, any questions, all that stuff after the video is posted, even though it's not live. And I'll bring that into the next video. And I'll probably start opening up kind of like a mailbag in a way to where you guys can comment questions or thoughts. And I'll talk about it and bring up your name in the next coming video. So, appreciate you guys. Hope you have a good night. Take care.